Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Lock Shop. Dusty with you. Huss about to join as well. Jake's actually going to pop by today. Jake Bolamas will join us in about 18 minutes, and we'll give you a March Madness preview. I've spent a good part of the last, about hour and a bit trying to dive into as many previews as I possibly could. Did a little bit of it last night as well. We'll give you the keyword for Vegas right before we bring Jake in, and then we will call a qualifier at the end of the show. So we'll be ready for that keyword around 11:20ish today as well, and then we'll call a qualifier at 11:50 this morning. Another chance to qualify coming up on Two Guys and a Goalie for that trip to Vegas with Fly YEG, which would end up being a trip for two nonstop flights from here down to Vegas. 3 nights accommodations, and of course tickets to a Cirque show and flexibility to book at any point over the next calendar year, as long as you do it in 2 months after winning. All right, there's Huss. There's the man. Huss, what's going on, buddy? Busy night in the National Hockey League. We're going to start with NHL picks, and then we'll spend some time on the madness. How you doing, bud? Huss, are you muted?
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. All good. You had us freaking out over here. We're like, it's something for us. Yeah, I figured it was you.
No, the mute was that's on me. Excuse me, folks. Sorry about that. No, awesome start to the week. I mean, there was only the 2 games. We took the biggest dog as the play of the day. I know you had it on EST too. I threw it out for for Coolbet. Washington. Like, I heard Wyshynski talking earlier today. Like, it is hilarious that this team is actually in the playoffs right now.
I know. Isn't that nuts?
Like, they're negative 27 goal differential this year. Apparently, they've lost like 20 of their 25 losses. They've lost by 2 or 3. So that would contribute to that. But, I mean, as bad as they looked last week, getting smoked by the Jets, getting pumped by the Oilers, they ran off the next 3 wins, including a big win Saturday night in Vancouver. And other than that, like, the Islanders have lost 4 in a row. The Red Wings have just gone into the tank. Apart. The Flyers have now lost a couple. That's a game that we'll get to in a minute coming up. They're taking on the Leafs tonight. A very interesting group of scratches tonight for Torts.
I saw that. His captain happened to be scratched tonight.
Well, apparently he's got worse point totals and points per minute played in the last 12, 15 games than Mark Stahl. So
yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
Not a good sign. But I just went in and played that one game last night. I really didn't have a feel for that Buffalo game other than jumping on a plus 225 Alex Tuck goal prop, which came through. Wish I had the Skinner hat trick. That would have been nice. But Buffalo, every single time you think that they're completely done, they got no shot, they win a game. They're back at it tonight, though. And I do wonder whether it's sort of the one good game, one bad game for Buffalo, and they take it on the chin. But yeah, nice start to the week. And I was saying, the plays of the day, I think that we're on a run of, I think it might be 10 in a row.
Did you finish strong the week before?
I did. I lost the first 2, and then I went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday wins. You were 4 for 4 last week. The day you were sick, I popped in and took the Leafs, and then we've started it right now. So the plays of the day have been good, and that is a good sign that some of the other things are cooking in the lock shop. So yeah, looking forward to this game tonight, and we can get right to it. Both Jets and Edmonton in. For the Winnipeg folks that might want to ride on a WST parlay, I may as well just crank this one out right now while people can listen to it. We're already up, but Jets to win money line. They're even money. The Rangers are minus 118 favorites. Jets are plus 100. But for the Jets to win, and Tyler Toffoli, who has 4 goals in his last 2 games, his line mate Nikolai Ehlers, and Josh Morrissey all to record a point, plus 675. So, listen, it's going to be a tough game. I mean, they are going into MSG, taking on the Rangers. Very, very good team. One of the few teams that are ahead of Winnipeg in points in the entire National Hockey League. But no coach bonus tonight either for the Jets.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. Well, a big deal. I mean, big enough that he had to leave the team and head back to Winnipeg for a minor procedure, I believe they said. But they think that he might be able to rejoin the team on the weekend there. So, and listen, when Arnie took over earlier in the season, when Bones had to leave to take care of his wife, who had a bit of a medical scare, I think they went 7-2, 7-1. Like, they played very, very well under Scott Arniel. He's very well respected. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, Toffoli, Ehlers, and Morrissey all to get a point. Jets to win plus 675. What'd you cook up for the EST?
Well, yeah, and I got it. Came in at plus 625 tonight. So I've got McDavid over 1.5 assists tonight, a Hyman goal, a Bouchard point, and then the Edmonton Oilers on the puck line, which is really kind of the only way you can get value here. They're a heavy, heavy favorite on the money line tonight. Even the puck line is kind of just parlayable because I think it's like minus 140 something. So the Edmonton Sports Talk parlay, both of our exclusives are already up. Coolbet.com. Click on exclusives. Slide on in there. McDavid 2+ assists tonight. Hyman with a goal and Bouchard with a point. I mean, that's one that could be one power play goal right there, taking care of a lot of that at plus 625 tonight. That's a little bit of a bigger number than we end up landing for a lot of our regular EST parlays. But, you throw the Hyman goal in there. He's closing in on 50. Connor McDavid's been an absolute Apple machine. And the Oilers, after the loss to Colorado, getting Montreal here at home, I'd like them to probably control most of this game tonight and pick up a victory. I like Albie26 says, turned my win off the Road Dog payday last night to a max bet on the EST parlay today. So trying to run that one up yesterday. And yeah, one thing I did say yesterday, I said I think we're looking at both road teams tonight, and both road teams ended up cruising. I mean, Buffalo was in full control by the middle of the second period of that game. Too little, too late, likely when it's all said and done. So we do have the two parlays that are already up, but a busy night in the National Hockey League. And if you have any plays, I mean, this could be, I know Jake's going to be joining us, so he's going to be busy with us. We're going to be talking some March Madness today, but does this not seem like a nasty chat parlay type of day, Huss?
Oh, I think it does. And obviously you can throw those in the YouTube chat. I know Jake's active in the Discord as well. If you want to throw your favorites, maybe a shot prop, a goal, a point prop from a player. Actually, speaking of that, and I know we've kind of already got it on the WST parlay, but I was looking at the Jet numbers. I was just wondering what the individual point totals were for the guys that I put in.
Yeah. I
was sort of surprised to see that Ehlers' point tonight is like plus 110. Like Toffoli's minus 148. Morrissey is in at minus 122. And then Ehlers plus 110. So if you're ever going to, I might even throw that as a suggestion out if we want to get that in. But I'm sure the Nasties have plenty of other options that we can get in on the on our point tracker tonight. What about the games? What are you liking? Let's put together a little lock shot for 3-gamer.
I'm going to let me run through our starting goalies that we got locked in so far, and then we can take a look at a little 3-gamer here. Samuel Ersson will start for the Flyers tonight at home against the Leafs. Samsonov is listed as likely right now. Hellebuck confirmed. Shesterkin likely in a big one there. Jake Allen likely for the Devils tonight. Tristan Jarry is confirmed for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Red Wings and Blue Jackets in Detroit. James Reimer versus Daniil Tarasov. Those are both locked in, as are the goalies for Ottawa and Boston tonight. It'll be Allmark and Korpisalo going head-to-head. Sorokin is confirmed to start for the Islanders tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. Islanders obviously looking to kind of get out of a bit of a slide right now. The Preds have UC Saros listed as likely. They are 13-0-2 in their last 15. Magnus Corona, unconfirmed at this point for the San Jose Sharks. Binnington for the Blues. Justus Anunen for the Colorado Avalanche. That one listed as likely so far. He was in the starter's crease at the skate this morning. It'll be Calvin Pickard versus Samuel Montembeault tonight here in Edmonton as the Habs roll into town. Aiden Hill and Vasilevsky unconfirmed. Dostal for the Ducks and Fleury unconfirmed for the Wild in that game. And then Buffalo and Vancouver tonight, Casey DeSmith and Devin Levi. And then Cam Talbot and Mrazek both unconfirmed. What a busy slate. There's a bunch of different things we can work on here today, Huss. What jumps off the page for you? Hush, you're muted again. You did it again.
Sorry. I'm coughing so much. I'm just trying to. When you get into that,
Yeah. Makes sense.
Anyways, amateur hour. You think I'd never done this before?
First lock shop, hey Huss?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you one team that I do like, and I think I'm leaning towards putting this as the play of the day, is the Leafs. The Leafs, we'll get Jake's take on this. I was kind of bummed out. I did have them on Saturday night against the Hurricanes, and they blew that 2-goal lead in the last few minutes and ended up losing in the extra frame, or I guess it was in the shootout. They handled Philly. Well, that was the game. Actually, I made the Leafs the play of the day last week when you were sick that one day, and they cruised in that game. Philly's in a bad spot right now, and I do sort of look at this as a nice bounce back opportunity for Toronto. They'll be confident. They just beat this team last week. Don't see why they can't do it again. So I don't mind the Leafs. This Hurricanes-Islanders game is really interesting. The Canes are minus 156. The Islanders are plus 133. I've been waiting for one of these teams, and I thought it was the Islanders when they went on that run. Well, they followed up that run by losing, I think, 4 in a row. So I don't have a lot of confidence in that one right now. There's a couple puck lines I do like. I do like Vancouver. And again, if we want to just play money line or in reg, we can do that. But Vancouver over Buffalo. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen played last night. He's the clear-cut number 1. They called up Devin Levi, I think maybe that they would give him a start tonight. Their season's sort of hanging on the line. I don't know whether they go to. What did they did? They didn't say anything.
It just says unconfirmed. It just says unconfirmed right now. There's like no starters crease or nothing, so that one's unconfirmed right now.
Yeah, that's completely out there. But I don't have a lot of confidence in Buffalo being able to ring off back-to-back wins, especially against a Vancouver team that I think is going to be a little ornery after losing at home to the Washington Capitals on Saturday night. I definitely like the Wild in Anaheim against the Ducks. I would not be adverse to even playing the puck line on that one at minus 1.5 at plus 122, or we could get into the regs. And now this is probably a little too ballsy of a play to throw in on the partner parlay, but I think I'm going to make a single wager on the St. Louis Blues tonight against the Colorado Avalanche. And I know the Avalanche have looked amazing. You just saw them. A crazy game on Saturday night. They've won 6 in a row. This is these games have played tight. Well, St. Louis, if you recall, beat Colorado 8-2 earlier this season in a game. They've also lost 4-1 and 2-1. But the Blues have won, let me just see here. I believe it's 4 in a row right now? Yeah, they won 4 in a row, and they are playing like their lives depend on it. And trust me, when you look at what Nashville's been doing and the fact that Vegas and the Kings are at 79 points, but it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. A win like this would be so big for St. Louis. I'm not suggesting we put it on the parlay, but at plus 180 at home, going up likely against the Avalanche backup, I think this is a good spot for St. Louis. So I think I might be putting a little bit down on the St. Louis just for a home dog. But the Leafs jump out to me. Of these early games, listen, Boston minus 221. I don't know if the value's there on that one. Detroit, as I said, Detroit suspended. I cannot, even at home against Columbus. I mean, considering they lost twice, including home to the Coyotes during this last losing streak, I think we've got to put them away. Any thoughts on this Pittsburgh Devils game? Pittsburgh finally snapped their losing streak. New Jersey they're right there. They're 68 and 69 points.
It's a huge game.
It's so big.
It's a huge game. I didn't really dove into that one. It's funny because a couple of the boxes that you checked off, I hadn't looked into the Leafs, but I think you make a pretty good case for them there. The other 2 games that you did bring up, I had already had their regulation numbers written down. And I love hearing you mention the regs. I just love it. Yeah, I'm winning you over on these regulation plays. Minnesota in regulations minus 130 tonight. And Vancouver in regulation is minus 116. So I like both of those numbers quite a bit. The other game that I was kind of looking at a little bit, and This one, we'd have to adjust the puck line because it's a 2.5. But the Nashville Predators -1.5 is -154 at home tonight against the San Jose Sharks. And I know things have been going so well for the Nashville Predators that, maybe it is the San Jose Sharks who somehow come in and spoil it because they take them lightly or something. But I don't mind Nashville if we're doing a parlay on the puck line at -1.5 at -154 to throw in there as well. But the two games... And I think I'll probably ride with you on St. Louis. You are right about the, parlay perspective of it. Maybe not there. But I do like Minnesota and Vancouver in regulation. I got time for the Leafs, and I like the Preds -1.5 here at -154.
Well, you know what? If we take the Preds puck line and then the Wild and Canucks in reg, it's +443. So we might, if they're feeling generous, we might even see that drop at 5-1.
Is that the -1.5 puck line?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I like that. If you're okay with that, if you're okay leaving the Leafs off.
Yeah. Well, for sure. I'm gonna make it the play of the day, so I'll bet that.
Okay. There we go.
Who
Perfect.
knows? Maybe I'll do a little 2-gamer Leafs and Blues, and see if we can have a that'll be a separate one for tonight. But yeah. And I think Jake's in the room right now. So, Jake, I'll just throw this one out there. Partner parlay, Preds -1.5. And then the Wild and Canucks in regulation +443 when we build it manually. So if we want to throw that one in for the partner parlay, we can make it happen. You know what? I didn't have the chat going on. Do we got any?
We got some trends and stuff. We got a few things. Rod Z is in, says Leafs 8-0 versus the Flyers. Throws out the Columbus is 12-0 versus Detroit following a loss in night games. So we'd eliminate those rare afternoon games. Colorado is 9-0 in their last 9 trips into St. Louis. Nashville is 10-0 against the puck line versus the Western Conference. And Duck Dad follows it up with soon to be 11-0. So he likes the Preds play as well. And then I want to get to this one from Michael. Says the Leafs dumped on my face against the Hurricanes. So yeah, that was a tough one. Tough pill to swallow there.
Me too.
Tough pill to swallow.
It was. I mean, they were up at one point. I think it was 3-0, and then it was 4-2 in the third. It looked like it was over, and then it wasn't. And then. They went in. Shabbat, anytime goal for Rod Z, scored in 4 of the last 5 when Ottawa is a dog. That is ballsy, but I would expect nothing less than from our buddy Rod Z. Let's see what else we have here. Colorado 9-0 in their last 9 trips to St. Louis. That being said, I don't know. I've got a hunch on St. Louis tonight. It'll be a smaller play. I think I might put that together. Here's just a little offhand. Did you see D-Mart?
No, I did not.
He pulled a Bedard Young Gun yesterday.
Oh, I did see that. That was the guy I replied to. I told him to sell. You know when these things come out and they're hot right at the beginning.
What are they going for right now?
Well, I mean, when they first came out, I thought they were going for about 1,400. I haven't checked it lately, but who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago, and they were saying it kind of moved down to about 1,000. So I think what you probably do here is if you pull one now, sell it, and then you could probably end up buying the card, I would think, for like 6 to 8 months from now for about like 600 to 800 maybe. So if you want the card. But it's always nice to have the option. So that's always good, D-Mart. You came to the right place, buddy. Happy to chat with you about that.
Well, Pat Maroon's bib has mentioned it, and we said that Couturier is being scratched. Flyers scratching everyone. Leaf player props should hit. Be looking nice. And the juice. Nyquist has 2 points in 3 straight versus the Sharks, and pays +295 tonight. Nyquist has been very good to us in the player props. He's been part of a couple of those beauties that we've had. Let's see. Points for Gustav Nyquist. -164 for 1. But as it was just mentioned, +295 for over 1.5 in that one.
All right, so there's lots of options in there for the Nasty Chat to put together a parlay as well. I'm going to give out the keyword for Vegas right now. And then we'll bring in Jake, and we'll get his thoughts on some of the NHL stories, and then we'll dive into our March Madness picks with the tourney here just around the corner. I am excited for here in the office to just have March Madness rolling on Thursday and Friday, right? We usually have curling or Formula One on Thursday, Friday. So just to add the madness onto the office is going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. It's the EST Flyaway as we team up with Fly YEG and the LVCVA down in Vegas. You get keyword 4 times per day right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your chance to win that trip to Vegas, 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets for a Cirque show as well, presented by Fly YEG and the LVCVA. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from Fly YEG. Visit www.flyyeg.com for more. Today's keyword here on the Lock Shop is dealer. Text dealer right now to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. The keyword today is dealer, DEALER. Text dealer to 780-218-9999, and you will go into a draw. Maddie Wanek will draw somebody around 11:50, and we will give you a call. So make sure you stay by your phone at least until noon, and then just stay by your phone all day because we're going to be qualifying somebody else and 2 guys and a goalie coming out with myself and Cass and Joaquin Gage. That'll be happening at noon. One more time, your keyword today is dealer, DEALER. Text that to 780-218-9999 and get yourself in the mix for the EST Flyaway to Vegas with Fly YEG and the LVCVA. All right, let's bring in Jake Bolamas today. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
JBM.
Now, is he muted?
Yeah, he's muted too.
I'm muted.
Unbelievable. The muted show. This is crazy.
Last time I was screaming in Huss's ear. I didn't want to scream in his ear again when I jumped in the back room here. So,
that's true. That's right. We'll figure it out at some point.
Are you ready for the madness? I always lean on you. I lean on you. College football, college hoops. This is a perfect time to get you on the program. Hey, just before we dive into the basketball, because that'll take us through to the end. Thoughts on this Leaf game tonight against Philly, as well as who is asking Penner's Pancakes. By the way, Penner's Pancakes can't wait for Huss's WrestleMania picks in a couple weeks. Already putting together the big card for that one. But asking, what's the latest on Marner?
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like he's not skating right now. It's weird. You get like conflicting reports. You hear he wants to be out there. He wants to be skating. He wants to get back in the action. I think it's more of a cautionary thing. Like, Marner's a guy you need for the playoffs. So whether people think he can perform in the playoffs or not is a different story. But you want 100% Marner by the time the playoffs to come around, and I think it's just one of those things where they're staying cautionary with it. They're kind of stuck in that third spot. I can't imagine they're going down or up at this point, if I had to guess. So it's probably just precautionary.
Leafs pretty much own the Flyers anyway, right? It shouldn't matter tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the Philadelphia Flyers, but Leafs have taken care of business continuously against them. They did it. I know you guys already touched on it, but they did it last week. Got him again tonight. No Couturier. I know you guys touched on that as well. So, yeah, I don't know how you don't ride with the Leafs at this point with the domination they've had over the Flyers.
I'm just looking to see if that line has moved at all today. It was earlier on. It was minus 134, minus 136. So a very, very slight move, but not too much other than that. So yeah, we'll get that partner parlay up, and as they say, lock shoppers get the early pit play of the day. Leafs are going to be the play of the day. And Jake, I was just saying to Dusty, if I recall correctly, I like 2 weeks ago, I lost the first 2, and then I think I went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with winners. Dusty was 4 for 4 last week. I came in and filled in with the winner, and we got one today. I think we're on the verge that the Leafs can win. It might be 10 in a row tonight.
Yeah, I haven't gone back and checked. I should have while you guys were chatting about it. But yeah, I memean, listen, I'm not going to argue if that's if that's what you think. You guys lay out the picks every day. So, if we're on the verge of 10, I'll get. You know what? I'll go back. I'll do a quick look back because I can just do a search on Twitter. I'll just double check those, and then we'll see how many it is, and I'll text you guys, and we can
we
can see if we get a little streak going.
Yesterday was a nice plus money winner with the Caps.
but it's just a matter of like, I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So that would
Quite
put us at
confident
9. That would put us at 9 right now, right? So yeah.
Yeah, which would be
Man, 10 in a row would be great. 10 in a row would be great. Jake, are you on a different internet today? Your internet seems awesome today.
Yeah, Dusty, we've switched over to the phone. We're fine.
I knew it. I knew it. It looks great. It looks great. This is a game changer, buddy. I'm fired up right now. Yeah, no,
Dusty, when you were out last week, I told Huss, I'm like, I'm gonna switch over to the phone and see how it goes. And yeah, I think it went pretty smoothly last week. So I'm just gonna stay right here. I can see my computers. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, to be honest with you, man, I'll say this: like the image even looks better. Like you actually look clear.
I think the image looks clean. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, what's your hoodie say? It's only money. Is that what the hoodie says?
It's only money. This is my March.
Hey, stay cool, bet responsibly, but it is only money. So that's good. Okay, so I think the whole March Madness conversation is. I think we have to start with how you guys prep. Like, it's overwhelming, right? Especially the opening week. It's very overwhelming. So. There's lots of different markets we can get to. Do you guys like lay out your bracket and then dive into your bracket and see where you can find the value on the board? Or how do you guys prep for a March Madness card?
I mean, I mix and match. I did a little bracket work this morning. Obviously, knowing I was coming on the show, I kind of wanted to work through some of the games. And it's funny, like when I was a kid, I used to always do the bracket. That's kind of how I first got into this. And then when Florida went back to back, I think I had won, as like a, 12, 13-year-old kid. I don't know what year that was. But when Florida went back to back, that really got me dialed into it. But it's funny now you look at the lines, and just because it says 6 and 11 next to a team doesn't necessarily mean that team's the favorite, So those are good things to have, a little bit more idea of what you can do with your bracket. And how you want to make your picks kind of going through the whole tournament. It's a lot, right? Like, it's so many games. And it starts tonight with the first 4. It's an exciting time. I kind of mix and match, though, Dusty, to answer your question.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of bracket stuff. I haven't decided who I want to go all the way just yet. And then I'm looking into some bets for tonight and then for this weekend as well.
Huss, how about you, buddy?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm the first to admit I do not pay much attention at all to NCAA hoops until Selection Sunday. Although, I don't know, maybe it was the Barstool guys were doing so many streams and stuff that I popped on. I think I probably paid a little bit more attention or were knowing of some of the teams. I mean, the big story coming out of the weekend, as far as I can tell, was how many teams that weren't going to get in won their conference tournament, which meant a whole bunch of bubble teams were out. Like, there's only 3 Big East teams. And I'm a big Frank the Tank guy, and the curse of Frank is real. They were getting wined and dined by Seton Hall all season, and he and Jenks and Stu Feiner were going to the games. Seton Hall finished 5 games above 500. They beat Connecticut, the number 1 team in the league, or like the number 1 ranked team in the country. And did not make the tournament. So I'm not sure whether they did that just to give Frank another aneurysm or something like that. But it is sort of strange. The Mountain West, I think, has 6 teams in, and the Big East only has 3. But you know what? I've been paying attention. I mean, I filled out a bracket, which is often just throwing darts a little bit. But I tried to use the Coolbet odds. I mean, no one knows better than the bookmakers as to, who really has the best chance. So that's been helpful. I mean, and I would suggest, if you're kind of blindly doing a bracket for your office pool or whatever, take a look at the overall odds to win the thing, as well as everything else that's offered, because there is a lot out there that'll give you a pretty good idea about who at least they think is going to win. And then what's actually the most intriguing to me, and I think the way that I'm going to probably get into it the most, is into some of these March Madness exclusives. I was just spending some time over in the Coolbet exclusive section, and there's about 9 or 10 of some really interesting groupings. And Jake, you can maybe speak to them. I mean, I know you're integral in putting them together. But, obviously there's some real longer shots. But, for things like, like the Big Ten, the Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue, all to make the Sweet 16, 6-1. Like, those are some fun bets where you can make them. you're basically focusing on 3 teams in the first 2 games. I'm going to definitely get in on a few of these exclusives, starting it off, heading into the first weekend. And I'll probably throw a future or 2 as well for teams that I have going far in the bracket.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect place to start is the exclusive. I went through them yesterday. Really just try to dial in on the conferences and then a few other ones. So you'll see the Final Four chalk there, second to last from the bottom. Is UConn, North Carolina, Houston, and Purdue all to make the Final Four. So that's all the number 1 seeds. If you like the chalk, if you like the 1 seeds, that's 55-1. So pretty juicy number there.
55-1 is crazy for
the ones.
I know,
yeah.
Someone
it's,
always
it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Like rarely are we getting all 4 ones, but yeah. So that's one to keep in mind there. We got the bleeding blue, the blue bloods. There is UConn, North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, and Kansas all to make the Sweet 16. So for those who aren't as familiar, Sweet 16, it feels like such a big moment. It's 2 wins. You just need each of those teams to get 2 wins onto the second weekend. That gets you to the Sweet 16.
All of those teams, if I'm not mistaken, are seeded to make the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
like, I don't think any of them
the lowest. Where's the bracket? Kansas. What's Kansas? Because Duke's a 4 and Kansas is a 4. Yeah, so those are the 2 lowest. Kentucky's a 3 and North Carolina and UConn are 1s. Plus, they're all schools that obviously have a rich history of NCAA hoops, right? So, yeah.
So that's 11 plus 1150. So yeah, just keep an eye on those. I mean, we talked about the Big East, Huss. You mentioned them. I know it's the shortest one on the board at 2-1, but I really like UConn, Marquette, Creighton all to make the Sweet 16. I think like you said, the Big East kind of did get boned in the terms of their bids this season. I think Seton Hall probably could have got in. I think Providence probably could have got in. Nova's not in this year, so that'd be one. I think they're going to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. UConn has been rolling all season. I think they'll have no problem getting there. Creighton's been really good, and then Marquette's a 2 seed. So I think UConn's a 1, Marquette a 2, Creighton's a 3, and that's all 3 of them to get to the Sweet 16 at 2-1 over in the exclusive section. So. Yeah, a lot to dive into, Dusty. Where do you want to get going?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I've got some teams I like to win. I've got an Elite 8 bet. I've got some other ones as well. Some of the other exclusives that you can find, or other other special bets that you can find. I don't know. I mean, let's just start at the top. Huss, let's start with you, man. Like, who are you liking to win this thing? Give me 1 or 2.
Well, okay, so Connecticut is the favorite at 4-1.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to roll with Houston, the Cougs.
They're 5-1, number 2 on the board, right? Yeah.
They're number 2 on the board. It's usually a number 1 seed. I mean, I see Purdue. They've got that. I didn't even know until last night that Zach Edey's from Toronto.
Oh, yeah, Canadian kid, man. A monster. He's a giant.
Yeah, I guess I should have known that. He played for us at the FIBA World Cup in the summer, and I was all over that. But I don't know. That for some reason I had forgot that. But now I don't exactly trust them after they lost to a 16 seed last year in the first round. But sometimes, the biggest falls precede the greatest climbs. So, I mean, I guess I'm sort of pulling for Purdue. But I couldn't sit here and give you an educated guess on any of these teams. I've listened to a couple podcasts. People seem to like Houston. That's a team that, in the past, it's like sometimes they're not even in it, but every now and then they've got a great team and they roll from there. So I think I'm going to roll with Houston on just a future bet, and I'm going to put them into my bracket. But I think the fun ones, the ones that I like going at, you're kind of pulling out your bracket and seeing, okay, who are the teams, maybe the 2 or 3 seeds that you had going in, and maybe sprinkle on them to make the Final Four. I have, and again, the very unscientific run of mine is I took Kansas, Houston, Arizona, and UConn. Those were my bets. So Arizona, UConn, Houston, all there, and you got to go. What's Kansas to make it? They're kind of down.
They would be better as a 4 seed for sure.
They're 15-1. So maybe throw something down on that. And then obviously you've got the region bets as well. There is some interesting ones total wins by teams by conference. And again, I sometimes have to go and look up the conferences, but you've got the SEC is 10.5, the Pac-12 is 4.5, and the Mountain West is 4.5, and they've got 6 teams. So you need one team to go on a bit of a run and win a couple other ones. I mean, that might actually be a fun one because it's juiced to the under. It's minus 110 to the over. But again, a lot of people, there's all sorts of theories as to why there's all these Mountain West teams. Maybe because CBS has the rights to their conference as opposed to Fox having one of the other ones. I don't get into the politics of it. Just try to stay on it. But I'm going to roll with the future on Houston Cougars to win. I'm going to bet on them at plus 135 to make the Final Four. And then I guess I probably should take a look a little bit more into the Elite Eight, because the Elite Eight is often where you can get, like sometimes the clock strikes.
Yeah, it's the end of the run for Cinderella in the Elite Eight, right? Like, yeah, I could probably dive into that a little bit. Jake, I've got a whole board here too. You whip me through yours first. Let's see. What are you looking at? What do you like?
Before we get to anything, I want to touch on some specials that we were able to get online.
Okay.
If you go to the futures tab and you go to the specials, so it has all region, conference, and then you go to specials. We've got the number of game-winning buzzer beaters in the tournament. And there's a little bracket there that says opponent unable to inbound after score. So, buzzer beater to win it, or whatever. I think it must be buzzer beater to win.
Had to be a buzzer beater,
yeah. Right. So 1 is minus 120 if you were over a half, and 2 plus 175. So we got those online yesterday. We also have total number of first round upsets. This is a fun one. So a 9 to 16 seed winning, and the number set at 8. So that's wins for upsets. It's interesting. I mentioned this, like, not just because we're considering an upset based on the number of seeding. Some of these higher seeds, or these like an 11, would be favored in a few of these games. I think Oregon is a good example. I believe they're an 11, and I believe they're favored in their first round matchup. Sorry, I'm just looking at the bracket here to try to figure out.
I mean, not even including teams like
South
that.
Carolina.
You're only looking at 2 upsets per region to at least get the push.
And those
right?
those include the 9s. I got a stat in front of me here.
How many 9s beat the 8s? Like,
apparently it happens all the time.
Well, and 12 seeds kind of seem to own the 5s too. We've seen over recent years, right? So, yeah, I like the over 8 on the number of first round upsets.
I think I love that one. It's minus 125 to the over. So you'll find those under the specials section. We also have seeds, total number 1 seeds in the Final Four, set at 1.5, minus 120 to the over 1.5. You can bet a number 1 seed to win the tournament at minus 105, a number 2 seed to win the tournament at plus 285, and a number 3 seed to win the tournament at plus 1,000. So keep those in mind too. If you want, you're not sure if you have a team that you like, but maybe there's a few teams you like, you can jump on any of those. Creighton has my eye. They're a number 3 seed. They'll be down in the bottom right part of your bracket, the Midwest region. Purdue's been known to choke in this tournament. I hate to say it. They're a great team.
Buddy, but three times they've lost to like 13, 15, and 16 seeds. Like,
they always find a way to choke it. I think they'll win their first round matchup, no problem. I could see them taking care of business in the second round. Third round, they're likely going up against Gonzaga or Kansas, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of those 2 teams comes out on top. But I like Creighton coming out of the Midwest. So, if you look at their odds, pretty juicy to make the Sweet 16, minus 250. To make the Elite 8, plus 210. That's not bad. That's 3 wins. And then Creighton to make the Final Four, 4-1. So I don't mind that. That'd probably be one of my favorite teams. I also don't mind Arizona, the 2 seed out of the West. You got North Carolina at the top of that bracket there. They got Long Beach State in the first round. Then it'll be Dayton or Nevada. And then they're likely to see I like New Mexico, by the way, in that first round against Clemson. So they're likely to see, in my brain, Baylor or New Mexico to get to the Elite 8 there. So that's another team I got my eye on, Arizona. let me run one thing through here. This is a thread I was going through last night, and something to keep in mind when you're doing your brackets, when you're making your bets. So 95% of winners of March Madness are ranked 37 or better in offensive efficiency. Let me read that again. 95% of winners ranked 37 or better in adjusted defensive efficiency, and 100% ranked 44th or better. Sorry, this guy is not good writing. And awful. Sorry, that was just defensive efficiency. I'm reading so poorly here, folks. My bad. I missed the first. There was a tweet above it. That's why it's a thread, and I'm screwing it up here.
Basically, was it eliminating a bunch of teams by saying that they don't have the metrics?
This is going to knock off a ton of teams.
Yeah.
So basically, they're going to be 21 or better in offensive efficiency and 37 or better in defensive efficiency. That's what we're looking for. Here's 8 teams that fall into this category. So this is based on, statistical data from the last, 20 years. These are the 8 teams that we're expecting one of these 8 teams to win the tournament.
Okay.
UConn, Purdue, Duke, Arizona, Auburn, Creighton, Houston, and Marquette. Those are your 8 teams right there. So Huss is Houston's pick on there. I mentioned Creighton. They're on there as well. We mentioned Purdue. As much as they've been chokers, they're up on that list. And as many people expect UConn, the favorites to win it all, top of that list. So those are the teams to keep in mind. There's 2 more just on the outside looking in, North Carolina and Texas Tech. They're right there in terms of those offensive and defensive efficiency numbers. So I'd say no more than those 10 teams are likely to win this tournament. It's fun to pick those big dogs early on, but eventually, like you guys said, the Cinderella story comes to an end and the cream rises to the top. So, we saw what UConn did last year. They're a dominant program. I wouldn't be surprised if they go all the way. But you got to watch out. Those numbers, I believe, in the last 20 years or so, the number 1 ranked seed, which is UConn this year, I think the number 1 ranked seed has only won once. So something to keep in mind as well.
Well, it's tough to go back to back. It's tough to go back to back too. But they are a really good team though.
Last year they weren't as high of a seed either, right? So people didn't see them coming, and they caught fire at the right time, and they dominated the entire tournament. Teams aren't taking them lightly anymore. They are the number 1 seed. They're going to get everyone's best game. I think they'll run as deep as they can, but I'm probably going. I just don't like the chalk. I just don't like to bet the chalk when it comes to March Madness. I think I'd probably try to creep a little further down those lists. Arizona, Creighton are the 2 teams I got my eye on.
Yeah, Arizona. Go ahead, Huss.
I'm just going to say, I just got in on the over 1.5 buzzer beaters.
Of course, you have to, right? Like the celebration on a second buzzer beater, that can happen this weekend. Come on.
I'll feel like I'm part of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, anytime it happens, I'm winning. So that would be a fun one to cheer for in all circumstances.
As far as what I've got going, I am gonna bet on UConn at 4-1. They've lost once since December. They've obviously been through this before. It is tough to go back to back, but it's not impossible to go back to back. So I'm gonna get on them at 4-1, but I'm gonna spread it around a little bit. I do like Arizona. I have them going to the Final Four. For them to win it all, it's 11-1. So I like that one as well. And then this is kind of weird because this team was coming out of the same region as the Connecticut Huskies. But if anybody's going to stop UConn along the way, I don't hate the number 2 seed in the region, Iowa State, because by all accounts, people thought they could have been a 1 seed, and they end up getting the lowest level of 2 seed by having to go into the same region as UConn, and they're 18-1 to win the entire thing. So I'm also going to sprinkle Iowa State there at 18-1. And if they meet up with UConn in the Elite 8 and get by them, I like them a lot. So there's a couple different teams I'm looking at, to possibly win it. Elite 8, and you brought up Creighton. I have Creighton going to the Final Four. 4-1 in the Final Four, like you mentioned, Jake. I had them kind of just down here, plus 210, just to make the Elite 8. They won 7 of 8 to close the regular season. And you know what one of their wins was? A 19-point rout of UConn. So that was the one loss UConn has had since Christmas, was 19 points to Creighton. So Creighton obviously has a high-end game. Plus, you mentioned Purdue and their history of failure in this tournament. The other team that Creighton might have to go through is the number 2 seed in Tennessee. And Tennessee has kind of become a joke in the tournament as well for not reaching the heights that people expected them to when they had some pretty good teams. So I like the fact that Creighton is in a region here with a couple of teams that have choked recently in Tennessee and Purdue. So I like Creighton at plus 210 to get into the Elite Eight. Arizona Final Four. If you don't think they can win it, Arizona to come out of their region with UNC, who's a little bit, I think, overseeded as a number one. You can look at Arizona plus 195 just to get to the Final Four, which I really like. Them coming out of their region. That's a good one. I like total number ones in the Final Four over 1.5. It's minus 120. It's not like a crazy number, but I have Houston and UConn both in the Final Four. That covers the 1.5 number, and it's at minus 120. So, just to get 50% of the one seeds through to the Final Four, minus 120, I don't mind that. And then you have to pick some sort of Cinderella along the way. So I've kind of been reading through a few of these. And McNeese State. Have you guys done anything on McNeese State? They've got a tough matchup.
I'm a big McNeese State guy.
30-win McNeese State team, but they got to open against Gonzaga, and then they'd have to beat Kansas in the second round, which is, that's basketball, college basketball royalty to have to go through Gonzaga. Yeah. And then Kansas. Mind you, I've been reading some things. People think Samford could be a handful for Kansas as well. So McNeese State, they're 30-3. It's plus 900, 9-1. Just to win the two games, just to make the Sweet 16. And one of the things that, and I was way more into college basketball back when I was playing like high school basketball and stuff like that. But I think it's still the same then as it is now. And veteran guard play goes a long way in this tournament. And McNeese State has a senior guard, Shahada Wells, who's just an absolute beast. Not a big guy by any stretch of imagination, but this is a guy who can control these games and probably doesn't get overwhelmed by the spots. So the combination of a team who obviously has had a phenomenal season, they've got a senior guard leading the way. I love teams with veteran guards in these events. Unless you got a bunch of like one and dones who are all lottery talents, and I think Kentucky has a couple of those, but I'm kind of staying away from Kentucky here, kind of because I've always hated Kentucky, but that might not be the right way to go about and bet it. But McNeese State, 9-1 to make the Sweet 16. I'm going to throw a little bit of a unit on that and kind of ride it out with a 12 seed here.
Rod Z has popped in, and this is not good for me.
Uh-oh.
Teams entering, and Rod, if you can just confirm that I'm reading this correctly, teams entering the NCAA tournament off a loss of 20 or more points are 23, 10, and 1 ATS in the round of 64. Well, I guess that's actually good. But are you telling me that South Carolina, Texas Tech, Kansas, and Houston lost by more than 20 in their last game heading into the tourney? That can't be right.
Wow, they're probably conference games, right? Like late conference matchups, semis or finals. I mean,
well, I'm already in on these. And as we've been doing it, I've added a few more. But it's nice. I like these Final Four. So Connecticut plus 115 to make the Final Four, Houston plus 135 to make the Final Four. Kind of did those individually as opposed to taking the two number one seeds to make it. Again, I've got the plus 500 on Houston to win it. And Kansas is also plus 500 to make the Elite Eight. So it's in there. And then, of course, the buzzer beaters. Hey, just quickly before I go, and you guys can wrap it up. There are two games tonight, Jake. Do we have any thoughts or leans on these games that are taking place tonight? These are the playing games, Wagner and Howard, and Colorado State and Virginia. People are very low on Virginia. I have heard that. And they are a 2.5-point underdog against Colorado State.
Yeah. I haven't dived into the Wagner game, but Virginia, I'm just betting the under. That they're the most boring basketball you can find is Virginia basketball. And I'll just be playing the under there. No really facts to it. I think they're kind of 50% around the under this season. I just think it's boring basketball. I probably won't even watch it. I'm just going to take the under responsibly, and then I'll have something for Wagner Howard. Maybe I'll throw that out on my Twitter. Couple things though. We do have a March Madness promo running. It starts tonight with the first four. It's a win boost promo. I posted it on the Twitter. It's on the Instagram. You get a 20% win boost for every round of the tournament. I believe there's 7 rounds when you include the first 4. So you can use it for one of the first 4 games, either one of the 2 tonight or one of the 2 tomorrow. And then you'll get one for the first round, the second round, and so on. Sweet 16, Elite 8. So if you go right now to the March Madness tab, you click on your favorite bet, say it's that Virginia, Colorado State under. It'll say right at the bottom there, 20% multiplier. You apply the 20% multiplier, and it gets added to your bet. It's super simple. You don't even have to opt in. So that'll be running throughout the tournament. And then also, Patty wanted me to mention, Grey Cup odds are online. If you wanted to get your guys' instant reaction before we logged off.
Well,
what? Okay, hold on a second here.
Sorry, I had to get that in. Had to squeeze it in. I know we're running.
Well, I mean, this sounds like a Thursday show. Like
PFL futures, Bombers plus 235, Argos plus 300. Well, we'll see what's up with their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
That's another conversation entirely. BC 5-1, hosting the Grey Cup. Obviously, I'm a Bomber guy. Might be some value with BC at home. Montreal 675, Hamilton 10-1, Calgary 1150, Riders 12-1, Red Blacks 15-1, Elks 20.
The disrespect of McLeod Bethel Thompson, unbelievable. Anyway, we can dive into that a little bit more. We got a golf episode tomorrow, but Thursday, Friday, we can dive into these Grey Cup futures.
Some time. We can touch on that as well. Yeah. I was also keeping my eye on the Valspar as well. I'm ready to go back to back tomorrow on the golf show.
I love
the partner parlay's up 5-1.
Perfect.
Get it now before too many lock shoppers jump in on it. It might come down a bit. It was plus 443 when we made it. So shout out to Ev Dog and the fellas for a nice boost up to plus 500. Guys, I do got to.
Yeah, we got to get rolling too. So this was a good chat, boys. Jake, I do have like a little ride with Dusty in the first round. I'm going to fire your way too with some spreads. So I'll just text that to you. I'll text that to you a little bit later on.
Yeah, whatever you guys got, send it my way.
All right, boys. We'll talk to you later. There you go. Jake Bolamas from Coolbet and Huss Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up right away. We're going to call a qualifier for that trip to Vegas. I don't know if Jake is still watching, but my ride with Dusty will be Vermont plus 11.5 against my beloved Duke Blue Devils. James Madison, the Dukes plus 5.5 against Wisconsin. FAU money line at minus 147. And Samford plus 8.5 against Kansas. But I'll send that to Jake later. We'll get it up there. You look at Doc Dad says, you dropping CFL futures with us with 7 minutes to go. I know. That's just greasy. But we'll get to it. We'll obviously spend some time Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. We'll dive into some of those Grey Cup odds. The Bombers plus 235 favorites to make it to a 5th consecutive Grey Cup. All right, Maddie, who's qualifying for the trip to Vegas right now? Who do we got?
We got Barry.
Barry. Is it Barry the cheater or is it a different Barry? Let's find out. Let's go to Barry. Barry, good morning. Congratulations. And you are one step closer to winning a trip to Vegas, my man.
Right on. Good morning, Dusty. This isn't Barry the cheater.
Oh, it's not Barry the cheater. Okay, it's another Barry. Barry the qualifier. That's your name.
Yeah. I'm Hydro on the Nasty Chat.
What's the Nasty Chat handle?
Hydro.
Okay, perfect. There we go. Another qualifier. Have you been to Vegas, Barry?
Never.
Oh boy. Now, what if you win this trip? First of all, who are you bringing with you?
I'll take my fiance.
Take your fiance. Nice. And what would you guys be most looking forward to?
Well, we hope to go to NFR, but we got to see how our holidays work out.
NFR, National Finals Rodeo.
Yeah.
Oh, not bad. That'd be pretty good. It's the Bulls and Bucks. It's the dust and mud. It's the roar of the Sunday crowd. That'd be great. All right, buddy. Well, you're one step closer. All right.
Okay, great.
Right.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Barry. Tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk. Next chance to qualify coming up on Two Guys and a Goalie, which is just around the corner. Game day, Oilers and Habs tonight. Pickard between the pipes. We'll have Gager break that down. And lots to get to around the National Hockey League with these GM meetings and everything. If you're watching on YouTube, just turn on autoplay. That'll take you right on over to Two Guys and a Goalie, which will get fired up at noon. If you are listening on iHeart or on TuneIn or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you get a small dose of Whale and the Wolf, and then Two Guys and a Goalie with myself, Cass, and Gager. And, of course, your next chance to qualify around 12:30 today, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk for the EST Flyway to Vegas. That's going to do it. Lots of fun with that March Madness. It's overwhelming, but it's also a lot of fun to dive into. If you can find like 90 minutes in your day to sort of like dive into this tonight or something, It is a lot of fun. Thank you very much for joining us on the Lock Shop today. Best of luck tonight on that big NHL slate. All of our exclusives are up over at Coolbet, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.